How you doing? Woo! Pretty good. But yeah, I'm doing all right, man. Went out uh there we go. Anyway, went out there, got a went just ran one delivery and got a shower. So here I am now, cleaned up after the shower. Not too bad, man. I don't know, that's just what she does. She beeps. One of them annoying ass women just constantly beeping at you. She's almost done. Hang on. Anyway, how's your day going? You have a pretty good day? Oh, all right. Is that the truck? No, that's my car. I could have sworn it was the truck. The truck was making that noise. Alright, so we got a little bit of shade right here. I'm gonna post up right here. Boom, alright. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. I just went over to the gym, got a shower real quick. It might. It should rain, actually. Yeah, pretty gray over there. It was supposed to rain like Tuesday or some shit. It was supposed to rain, and it rained for like all of 20 minutes, I want to say. And it hadn't rained much since I've been here since September. I feel like it only rained about maybe 10 times since September and now, you know what I mean? But anyway, trying to get to 500 subscribers. Well, really, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and then after that, you know what I mean? It's too fucking hot for this not to be summer. That's kind of, I don't know, man. That's the way I feel, man. It's hot for 80 degrees. It's a very hot 80 degrees right now. I don't know, man. It'd be nice if I could find like a job down south and then a job up north. Work like 6 months at the job down south, and then during the summer go to the job up north and work like the other 6 months of the year up there. You know what I mean? be like a migrant worker, but you know, you're still like a U.S. nationalist. I don't know. For now, at least. But I appreciate you showing up, hanging out, dropping a like. Like I said, I don't know. First threshold I'm trying to get to is 500. I get to 500 subscribers, they'll at least open up like the donations and channel memberships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Not that I'm really particularly asking. You know what I mean? At least somebody that sees me and knows of my journey, you know, knows of my story. They might have it like that where they want to give me $10 or something. You know what I mean? And then $10 to them they ain't gonna miss, and but $10 to me could change my whole day. You know what I mean? I don't know. I still feel like, I don't know. The only way I'm even getting subscribers now is to go live. Getting no new subscribers off the videos that I'm making or nothing like that. So I don't know. I try to go live and be live for a good, good minute, good couple hours. Let people have time to find me, that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I'd rather beg for people to subscribe to my channel than be on the corner like begging for change. You know what I mean? Kind of almost the same thing, but I don't know, not quite. And then, like I was saying, the YouTube could turn into a whole stream of revenue for me. You know what I mean? If I could even get to the point where I'm producing enough on YouTube that I'm making like $100 a month from the YouTube. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be anything too big because I'm too real of a person, really. I'm not going to try and have any kind of like manager or producer team or nothing like that, an editor. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to not be homeless forever, and then hopefully make this the last time that I'll even have to even worry about it. I don't know, man. It just fucking sucks. It's not really the homelessness. It's everybody else like trying to make you out to be some kind of like fucking bad person about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, do you not see the prices of housing right now? It's like, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm the only one that's got a brain and not paying that like I'm the only one that's like not being absurd and just falling into this and paying this fucking $1,500 a month to live somewhere. Shit, I'm only making $2,000 before taxes if I work a 40-hour week, all 4 weeks of the month. So let me just give you all of the money that I'm making each month so that I have a place to sleep. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, it's getting fucking ridiculous, man. But, I'm still doing good, man. No meth, no crack. Not around here. Only thing I'm really addicted to is the Mountain Dew. And I guess the YouTube after that. But could you imagine, like, you go to pull out your phone and you go to open up YouTube and it won't open? Like, say it's down even for just like 12 hours or something like that. The whole site worldwide is down for like 12 hours. There'd probably be hysteria. People be freaking out, drawing conclusions and shit. What happened? Was it a solar flare? But I feel like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like the only way I'm getting new subscribers now is to go live. I apologize you know what I mean? I know I'm going live a lot, kind of, sort of. But yeah, I feel like if I go live for like 2 hours or so, after I close the live, it'll tell me like, oh, you made, in that stream you made 3 more subscribers. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like little by little, it's starting to go up. You know what I mean? I was at like 395. I want to say like a week ago. So I've got like another 30 in about a week or so. Not too bad. Still pushing it up over 5 though. 500 would be nice. Sorry, there's like this other homeless dude that's like hanging out in front of the store. I was gonna go in here and get a drink, but this guy's like hanging out in front of the store like he's the bouncer or something, and he keeps I don't know, he's just eyeballing the shit out of me. But I'm definitely not gonna walk in there and get a drink now. But yeah, I ran one order already today. It pretty much took me out here to my gym, and I needed a shower too, so I just went ahead and rode the rest of the way out to the gym. Got cleaned up for the day. Because I was planning on, either way, I was gonna get a shower today at some point. Gonna wait. I don't know. I felt like it would be better just go get a shower now than be stinking for another 6 hours, knowing that I need one. I don't know. And it's still early. I could still run some more orders. Gotta head back over into the other town though. This city sucks to deliver in. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, have you ever lived somewhere like your whole life, like your hometown or something like that, right? And then you disappear for like 5 or 10 years. You know what I mean? And you come back to your hometown, and then it's like everything's moving different. Like certain things are in the same spot, but it's like it's a whole other fucking city because you left for that. If you would have stayed during that time, you would have seen the change happening as it was happening. You know what I mean? But because you left for the 5 years and then came back, it's like it's a whole other fucking city. That's pretty much where I'm at. I thought I wanted to live here, but I don't. Yeah, it's just if like if I buy land in this county, I'm just joining into the traffic problem that's already here that they plan on doubling. But at the same time, like I want to be within a half hour from a Publix, like wherever my house is. I would like to really be like a half-hour bike ride from a Publix. You know what I mean? Just if you're ever bored, you can just ride your bike to the grocery store for something to do on your day off. But if you're so far out there where that's not even a possibility, you know what I mean? But yeah, man. But at least, I don't know, at least I got enough Bitcoin stacked up now. You know what I mean? It's like one thing I can breathe easy on. I actually did make it to, 10% of one coin. But honestly, yeah, I want to get to 2, you know what I mean? Get 21% of a coin would be nice. You've heard me say that before. You know what I mean? Now that because I feel like I'll be twice as better off. Like, if they say 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be enough to retire with, all I got to do is hold on to that, right? But at the same time, if I can double it, I might could retire 4 or 5 years sooner. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It feels, I don't know, man. It's just nice. Like, hey, Jerry Bear. Because like if I was living somewhere, say even if I found something that was cheap, like 600 a month, right? It'd be $20 a day. It's like every day I wake up, I would be minus $20 right off rip, just from living somewhere. And that'd be cheaper, you know what I mean? That'd be cheap. Yeah, and that's what you. I mean, that's really the best way to do it, man. Just keep DCAing into it until you get to the point that you're like, okay, I think that's enough. I can just wait about 2 more years, and then I should be good. You know what I mean? Yeah, I wouldn't say like stop at any one particular number, because like I'm saying, I could be twice as better off if I keep going. Even if I get to like 0.15, I think there'd be a significant difference between 0.1 and 0.15. Even if I don't make it all the way to the 2, if I don't break the 10 again, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just, I don't know. It's just like without that on the horizon, I don't know what the fuck there would really be. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to Fred about it, and it's like, well, you have to kind of invest into something. You can't just hold dollar. Like you can work hard and get as many dollars as you want, but you still got to find a way to kind of put that money to work for you if you plan on retiring. You know what I mean? And if you can work and make money and continue to make money while you have a certain amount that you're saving that is also working for you and making money, you know what I mean? And it's like, but at the same time, I don't know what else I would invest in, because I feel like Tesla at the most, Tesla's already pretty big. At the most, maybe could 3x from as big as it is now. It might could get 2 or 3 times the size that it currently is. Google is already pretty big. I think Google could double from as big as it currently is. You know what I mean? Meta could, same thing. I think could maybe double, maybe triple from where it is. Apple, I feel like, could lose some. You know what I mean? It could double. You know what I mean? But Bitcoin's the only thing where they're pretty much guaranteeing a 10x. You know what I mean? And then I don't know, man. And all the rest of these companies, with all of their market cap, they'll eventually have to add into Bitcoin anyway. I'm trying to get into this $5,000 credit card debt taken care of, maybe a personal loan. If you can pull out a personal loan for a smaller interest rate, that's what I tried to do with my bank. For some reason, I've had this bank for like 12 fucking years, and I've been on the job for this current job. I've been on the job for over a year. So I've been a customer with this bank for 15 years. Plus, I got a decent amount of job history. That's what I was trying to do, was because I could pull out a personal loan for like 13-14% from my bank, and then just throw it all at Capital One, right? And then don't have to worry about a 36% interest rate on that card anymore. You know what I mean? And basically make the same monthly payment, because the payment that I have to pay on the Capital One's $100, or to pay back the loan would be like $100 until it's paid off. You know what I mean? Well, for some reason or another, my bank wouldn't give me the loan. I don't know, it just kind of pissed me off. Now I'm to the point where I'm trying to operate without a bank. Can't quite do that yet, but yeah, I really don't fucking like banks. They seem completely unnecessary to me. I don't know, man. Yeah, and that's about fair. I mean, but at the same time, if it's even 6% smaller in interest than the card has a 20% interest on it, and you can get a 14% loan, pay that off, and then you just pay back the 14% on the loan. The only other side of that is the 14% on that loan gets added on automatically. The moment you take the loan, you're green. Like if you pull out a $1,500 loan, you'd have to pay back $1,700 or something like that automatically. Whereas on the credit card, it's interest daily. So if you could pay off the credit card faster than you could pay back the loan, you might end up saving money that way. You know what I mean? Yeah, like if you could pay off the car in 2 months' time, you're not going to pay much interest on it either way. But with the loan, you know, they're going to be a certain amount that they're going to slap right on the top for issuing the loan. My bank, they charge $20. Like they do the loan, and it's, you know, I get $1,020 or something like that, and then yeah, I immediately owe back $11.51 or something like that if I get $1,000 loan. Which is fair, you know what I mean? I would expect even family, you know, if you had a family member that could loan you $1,000, I would expect them to even be like, well, can you give me 1,100 back? You know, it's like, it's only kind of fair, you know. Somebody's giving you $1,000, they're taking a big risk, you know what I mean? And then what's 100 more back, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm thinking about taking a road trip here soon. Going somewhere, maybe down to Key West or over to Daytona for a little bit. I don't know. I'll wait. I'll see. Because, like I said, the job only put me on the schedule one day this week. And if it's going to be a repeat the next week, I might as well just go next week. You know what I mean? I could still make it back from my Saturday shift. Happy Easter, man. I guess I did McDonald's, and they had the 67-cent cheeseburgers still. So I guess it's just like a Sunday and Wednesday thing. I don't know. I had a buddy of mine tell me it was only for like the month of March. Can I check your like on your page? You posted. I can't. If I leave the live stream, it'll close the live stream down. Like if I leave this at all, to even go to like check something on the fucking YouTube itself. Is it like a post that you made on your page, or a post you posted like a comment on one of my videos or something? Yeah. I don't know what this dude's doing. He's just standing there at the door, like opening and closing it for people. Yeah. Can you check my post on YouTube? Yeah, but where's it on YouTube? Like on your YouTube page or something? I can't check it right now either way. Sorry, man. I'm trying to get some subscribers, man. You know what I mean? But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like every time I go live, or it's kind of, you know, there's at the end of the live, there's another 3 subscribers, and the subscribers that I'm getting, they're not like unsubscribing the next day later. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I don't know. It's working for now. You know what I mean? I try to keep going with it. But yeah, I'll check it out, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have any other kind of like social media or anything like that. I got rid of it years ago because it just started turning into fucking bullshit, dude. Like, I don't know. Personally, I liked MySpace. I liked MySpace better than Facebook. Just like flat out. You know what I mean? If it was like, if you were a kid and say that you were sharing a room, like you know, like you had 3 boys in one room, and then the girls had, you know, or you know, your sister had a room, and then you and your 2 brothers shared a room, you know. So like you would go on MySpace, right? And then MySpace, it was kind of like you had your own room, you know, your own website, your own wall. You know, you could put whatever music you wanted on it. You could change your background image. You could put all kinds of funny shit all over, you know, anywhere on your page. It was like, it was an introduction to, you know, software coding basically in a way too. You know what I mean? And then for some reason they started flooding it with ads. Like, I know why people left. You know what I mean? Because Facebook didn't have any ads at the time, and Facebook was new, it was cleaner. You know what I mean? But then Facebook turned into the same thing anyway. You know. And then everybody started jumping from Facebook to go fuck around on Twitter, and then Twitter, well, let's all go to fucking Instagram, you know, and then fucking, I don't know, it was so stupid, just like following this trend on all these different fucking websites, basically, you know what I mean? And now people can't decide, you know, they can't decide like which website. It's like, some people like Rumble, some people like TikTok. Me personally, I don't like TikTok. I think it feeds into the ADHD culture of America too much, well, of the world, I should say. Hell yeah. Yeah, you know, the big head mode at least gets people, they hang out for like that extra 20 seconds. You know what I mean? Another 20 seconds for them to actually catch part of my personality and then maybe actually subscribe. You know what I mean? So if I get a part-time job and pay $600 a month on card, that would be better. I think so. I mean, because any more income is going to be beneficial. You're making more money in a month. You know, and each month that passes, you have the potential to either get further ahead or further behind, basically. So you know, if you can pull even $100 more bucks a week from something, you know what I mean? Just 2 5-hour days somewhere. You know what I mean? Just 2 5-hour days on top of what you're already doing would end up being like, you know what I'm saying, another $200 to $400 a month. You know, you'd hope for maybe like $400 a month, but you know, that's before taxes and all that. I don't know, the easiest way I got into it when I first started looking at Bitcoin harder, I got convinced in that there's either a way that you can increase your income by $100. You can either increase your income by $100 a month, or you can find a way to decrease your spending by $100 a month. One of those two. You know what I mean? Either you can go to work a little bit more and make another $100 throughout the month. You know, a month. You know, just $25 more each week, which that would be, you know what I mean, the difference of coming in to work early versus late. You know what I mean? Sometimes for some people. Like, cause I don't know, I can clock in 5 minutes before, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, if you squeeze the time out of your job, you can squeeze an extra hour out of the week by clocking in 5 minutes early for all your shifts. You know what I mean? But yeah, this dude's still over there just opening and closing the door for everybody. Like, I get that you don't have shit else to do, but like, I don't know, kind of disrupting the business at the same time. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's the idea, man. Like, really, I wish people were a little bit looser with their subscriptions. You know what I mean? It's free to begin with. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. For a while, I was getting up and then just subscribing to every new thing that YouTube was putting in front of me. Every new creator that they were showing me, I was subscribing to like everybody. You know what I mean? I did that for a couple of days. But then, you know, then my home screen just started getting flooded with a bunch of shit that I was never going to watch. I don't know, man. There's like this one dude, I seen him, he's busting ass, man. A dude named Vinny. He's got like long hair. I think he's like in Pennsylvania or something like that. But he's working his job, and I can tell like he's working a job where the job don't really fucking care about him. You know, he's got like Tuesdays off, and then he's got Saturdays off, and then his YouTube channel is starting to take off and stuff too, so he's trying to like divide his time just right between the job and YouTube, and he's working 40 hours at the job. And so I sent him a message. I was like, you ought to see if you could find a way they'll give you a third day off every week, you know. And he took it as, oh no, I need all the hours I can get, you know. I'm like, no, I'm not saying don't work 40, but see if they'll work with you and like turn your 8s into 10s, and then that way you can have more time throughout the week to do something else besides work in the first place 5 of your 7 days a week. You know, you'd have a third day off every week with the same amount of time that you're currently getting. See if they'll work and do that for you. You know what I mean? But I get why he didn't get that, because like no job's gonna work like that. But I don't know. I would personally, me myself, just fucking all that running around and shit constantly, and you know, if you're just working at a fucking Target as like a stock guy anyway, you're just, you know, you're just doing stock in a grocery store. I don't really feel like you need to be there for 5 days a week, you know. The company ought to be fine to only work you 4 out of the 5 days, you know. And granted, you know, like that's how you move up, but at the same time, it's, I don't know, they're not necessarily, I don't know. Yeah, and 3 days off in a row is nice. Like, or even if, say you did 2 10s and then had a day off, like your Wednesday was off, and then do another 2 10s and then have your weekend, right? Just to kind of break up the 10s even, because 4 10s back to back, I bet that was hell. You know, by the time you're getting up for your Friday, your Thursday, whatever, you know what I mean? You're getting up for your Friday and you're like, oh my fucking god. Yeah. So I mean, it's rough, you know what I mean? But it's fucking, I don't know. It's that productivity first mindset that our country's stuck in. It's really just kind of crazy to me. Like in a land where we have so much freedom, we have all, you know, we have so many rights. We can pretty much say whatever we want. We can post whatever we want, but we're all still so willing to go work a 40-plus-hour week. You know, or it's just beaten into our heads that you're a piece of shit if you're not. I don't know. But I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. Yeah, I don't think I'll have too much of a problem. Like when by the time I get to 1,000 subscribers, I think I'll have the 4,000 watched hours anyway. You know what I mean? Because I'm going live for like 3-4 hours sometimes, and if I've got at least one viewer, I'll stay live. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me. Like I almost went to bed one night, like kept the live up. I'm just gonna just fall asleep in the back seat, just with the live still going. Just one person watching. I don't know. I've seen other people do that. Oh yeah, that's all it's gonna be, man. That's all it's gonna be is just distribution centers. Like I could see like McDonald's turning into like a vending machine, kind of, sort of like it'd be a big vending machine. You know, obviously you know you'd need a decent amount of space, but we'd just have like a dude that comes by and like loads up the machine, and then you know cars come by the front of it like an ATM. You know what I mean? Just get your sandwich. You know, just drops the bottom bun, drops the patty, squirts it with ketchup and mustard, throws a piece of cheese, and then throws the top, and like just drops. You know what I mean? And then just boom, here's your sandwich. And then somebody would just be there to like refill it or whatever. Hell yeah, man. 6 viewers, hell yeah. I think I'm gonna run in the store and grab a drink. Oh, well, 4 viewers. What we got? trying to finish this. What was that? Last night, you almost got sick. Good time for me to scroll. Yeah, I don't know, man. Them beers, man, they hit. They're nasty as fuck to drink, but you get some bang for your buck. They used to be you could get a whole 4-pack for less than $4. I don't know what it costed me last night when I bought them. I'm gonna move my car. I'm kind of close. I'm parked. Yeah, I'm gonna move over here where I'm closer to the front door. I don't hit somebody. That should be good. Where's the line at? There it is. There we go. $4 for $4. That's really cheap. At a bar, one would cost like $11. Yeah, man. Well, I'm just saying that's what it before COVID. They were like a 4-pack for like $3.89. $3.89, and then tax on that, you'd probably walk out of the store for like $4.25. But yeah, like $1 a piece for a beer. You know, bottom shelf bullshit type. You know what I mean? But I remember being a little kid, like little, like I wasn't even 8 years old yet. I remember one of my dad's friends, he was like, oh yeah, he's like, they got dollar draft beers here, man. You know, that was the deal back then. It was $1 for beer that came out of a keg. But now it's like, I want to say it's like probably $4 for a fucking draft beer now. Turn that off a little bit. Copyright, 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 copyright. Damn, it's that hot today. It's for liberals. Usually I would go, yeah, there it is. Boom. There we go. Thanks, sir. My wife. This is my favorite Justin Bieber song. $1 bid. Hello.
cents or $1. Well, any do $2, but if you want two of them.
Okay, let me get two of them. Fine, I'm fine with it.
Thank you. Have a wonderful Easter.
You too. Where's my son at?
How are you?
Doing all right.
That's not your sale, sweetheart.
Gotcha.
I was still in the last one. I was writing love letters to the AI. See, what's your phone number, sweetie?
Oh, I love doing that.
I don't know if I do or not. I know it helps me, but I don't know if I like it.
I love treating the support like they're still AI, even though. Like, what are you talking about?
Half of them probably are.
Oh wait,
Half of them probably are.
here's 85.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
No problem. Thank you, ma'am.
Happy
Happy Easter.
Easter.
I don't understand what that guy's problem is. Alright. So she called you sweetheart. Yeah, she's about my favorite worker. Like at any of the Circle K's I go to, I don't mind seeing. You know what I mean? She's one of the people I don't mind seeing. Other than that, I don't know. But like I said, I hate coming up here because there's like a whole group of fucking homeless people that hang out up here. The one dude, he's standing there. It's like he was waiting for me to go inside, and he finally like walks around to the back of the building to go do something. I guess hit a crack pipe or something. I don't know. But then I go in the store, and then he's watching me in the store. Like I don't know. He was watching me like he was an undercover cop or something. You know, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just buying a drink. You know. Almost wanted to like film him, like point my camera at him, and like, yeah, this is that dude I was talking about. But at the same time, like, I'm not trying to like create bad waves. You know, there's already a weirdness there. You know what I mean? I don't know. Haven't done anything to the guy. It's just, I think the dude's just jealous of me to be some, you know, to some extent, because I have a car. Like they're secretly rooting for it to break down on me or something. In this neighborhood, man, it's a weird neighborhood here. I got held at gunpoint here. I'll show you. Sorry for that wire. That's the phone mount that my phone's sitting on. Yeah, I know, like, that's the thing, too, is, like, I'm not gonna steal something from a fucking convenience store that has, like, 45 fucking camera, you know, like, first off, you know, and then, like, yeah, like, I'm gonna steal some fucking Slim Jim or some candy or something, you know what I mean? If I'm gonna steal food, I'm gonna steal, like, fucking ribeyes or a fucking whole rack of ribs, you know what I mean? Like, and then now, with me doing the DoorDash and the Uber Eats and shit, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that I do this, but every now and then, you know, you might have to cancel the order for one reason or another, and then they tell you to dispose of the food, you know what I mean? And then I'm not gonna just throw it away if it's, you know what I mean? So, you know, I can get some free food off of that every now and then, but I still have to watch the cancellation rate. I don't know. But yeah, this neighborhood, I got held up at gunpoint right here in this neighborhood here. I guess that's a little bit better. I'm trying to find the exact house. There it is right here. I can show it to you right now if you torch. But yeah. All the dashes you go to, which has the best food. It just depends what you're feeling for that day, man. You know what I mean? Some days you're like, man, I want some chicken tenders, you know, so you'll be waiting around for that order that's got some chicken tenders on, you know. Or some days you're like, man, I want a Frosty, you know, so I'm gonna wait. Somebody's gonna order a Frosty for delivery at some point. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not saying to do it, but there's a way that you can do it. You know what I mean? And it's all about the cancellation rate. So, you know what I mean? As long as you keep that cancellation rate, because it's all kind of built into the numbers of everything. They assume a certain amount of orders are going to be canceled for whatever reason. They still make money off of it with all the drivers. You know, like all the drivers, if they all did the same thing that I do, then, you know, like 5 out of 100 orders for every driver would be canceled. You know, I mean, I don't know. So I'm sure that they make enough money on the other 95 orders getting completed that, you know, that kind of suffices out, you know what I mean? But I don't know. But I don't, you know, I want to go up into the center of town more, to be honest with you, because there's better restaurants up in the center of town. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to just cancel a, you know, McDonald's order for a 10-piece nugget and a medium fry. You know what I mean? You want to cancel a Longhorn Steakhouse order where they got, you know, a steak and a shrimp tail. You know. Yeah, I don't know. Just one of the perks. So I'm thinking I should probably head back into the small town. It actually don't sound like a bad idea now that I said it out loud. Because I don't need to be just driving around aimlessly. So what is the holdup story? Oh yeah, the dude, I'm backing out of that Circle K I was just at. I'm backing out of the spot. It's like 1 a.m. I'm backing out of the spot. I looked, you know, like I check and make sure there's no one walking. You know what I mean? And the dude almost hits me with his car, right? Like he's flying through the parking lot around the elbow of the curb and everything. He's trying to miss the light and make a right turn by using the parking lot of the building to scoot through one side of the parking lot and then scoot out the other, miss the light. And while he's doing that, he almost hits me while I'm backing out of the spot. And so I go to follow him a little bit, you know, to confront him and be like, yo, you almost just hit me. Like, you know, like, not that I'm expecting him to apologize, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Part of my head was like, you know, it's like maybe he'll be an adult about it and be like, oh shit, yeah, I fucked up. Sorry, bro. You know what I mean? But no, he pulls over, and I pulled out my phone and I was recording. He's like, why are you recording me, bro? And I'm like, just for my own safety. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're about to do. You're driving over here, you're driving over there, you're driving, like, and then you drive all the way off the road, put the car in reverse, and then back up to my window, you know, so, like, I don't know what's about to happen, you know, and, he's like, you don't need to be following me, get the fuck away from me, and, like, I don't know, but, yeah, he takes off, and, I don't know, I go around one corner, and then he's pulled over, and he pulls out a gun, you know, and I'm like, wow, really? I'm like, but yeah, it's just one of the things that makes me want to leave this country even more, because, you know, somebody commits a traffic infraction, and they decide to pull a gun on you, because that's their only line of defense, because they're afraid to just apologize for almost hitting your car that you live in. You know. But anyway, I don't know. I called the police because, like, you know, they brandished, I don't know, like, I saw the gun, you know what I mean? I felt the the shiver go down my core. Like that, I was definitely looking at the barrel of a gun that was being pointed at me. You know what I mean? And then the cops come and they're trying to convince me, like, oh, are you sure you saw a gun? Are you sure you? It's kind of dark and da 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 da. We can't do anything unless you're 100% sure. And I was like, okay, whatever, bro. But yeah, I don't know. Because where I come from, I thought, you know, if you pull a gun on somebody, I thought it was 5 years. You know what I mean? Depending on the situation and everything. But yeah, like, there's just two people on the street and you pulled out a gun over traffic. You know what I mean? Like, that's case in point road rage at that point. That's assault with a deadly weapon, technically, over road rage. But, you know, yeah. But that's just, I don't know, that's what happens. That's, you give monkeys guns and that's what happens, you know? Put the AC on. Look at this dude. He thinks. Tweak a geographic. That's one of the things I asked him, like, what are you, drunk or something? He's like, no, I'm not drunk, da 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 da. I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm like, you know, you're in reverse on the opposite side of the road, not on the pavement. So, you know, I don't know what else you are if you're not drunk. Sorry, I wasn't planning on having the camera this way. I don't know. I'm probably gonna turn it back. Sorry. But yeah. But yeah, the even funnier part was, like, the dude he drove to his house, right? And then so he basically just showed me where he lives, and that, you know, he still lives with his parents. So, you know, it's a guy dealing drugs, probably still living with his own parents. You know what I mean? I don't know, kind of, we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? The guy that can't work, so he sells drugs to make money. But yeah, it was like weird, man, because that the whole house, every other, like, that one house, right, is like twice the size of all the other houses in that neighborhood. The property it's on is like, it's like a double lot compared to all the other houses in that neighborhood. It's got like this huge 2-story garage. Like, the garage is like a garage, but then there, you know, I think the kid lives above the garage. You know, it's just huge ass house. And then come to find out, oh, they're actually drug dealers too. So okay, that's why that, you know, oh, okay, that's why the biggest house in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? The whole neighborhood buying drugs off them, so. cops kind of knew when I started talking about what house it was, and what, you know, the one cop said to the other guy, he's like, oh, that's probably da 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 da. You know, I don't know, because I didn't hear exactly what he was saying. He was probably saying, oh, that's probably like the other call that we got. The other call that we got. This is probably in reference to that other call that we got. You know what I mean? But it was, yeah, it was almost like, you know, like black market type of thing. Like the cops know about it, but they allow it because I don't know. There's a difference between like a drug dealer and then like a drug dealer that's trying to be a family man. It's two. You know what I mean? Like a drug dealer that's trying to be a family man and support like a whole family of 5. They're at least, you know, a better person than just a flat out drug dealer. You know what I mean? So they I don't know, probably in a way, like I said, the cops probably work with them or somehow or another. I don't know, but I know for sure shit like that does go on in this country. Like hell, the Declaration of Independence was signed on weed. So I don't know how are you making paper out of weed without smoking it? I guarantee it, dude. I've seen it in like every city I've been in. You know, after you hang out in the city for a little bit, you'll find houses that's like, that's a grow house. That's like, people aren't actually living there. They're using that to grow something in. You know what I mean? You can see it. It's every now and then. I've seen it where there's a certain amount of like privacy. Like that house, for instance, right? They have this big, huge vinyl fence that goes all the way up to the street. And then they have a vinyl fence around their front yard, too. Which is kind of weird. You know, like usually people don't put there's certain laws where I don't think you can have a vinyl privacy fence around your front yard. You know what I mean? They have to open up a gate to get into their driveway. To pull in their driveway off the street. They have to stop and get out of the car, open up a gate. So I don't know. They at least got a special permit to be able to put a vinyl privacy fence all the way out to where their mailbox is in the front of their house. So you know what I mean? And then it's like the one house that has like double size lot. You know, the house itself is double the square footage of every other house. It's just too many things add to one direction. And then I don't know, man. Unless the house has been in the family for like a long time. But I doubt it. Because I don't think the house was built before the 80s. I can tell by the structure, like the way that it's built and everything. Like some houses you can walk into and they have like that 70s vibe. You know what I mean? There's just like the house itself, it looks like it was built while the Brady Bunch was on TV. You know, you can just see it in the architecture, you know, certain shit like that. But I like the wood paneling look. You know, like when people used to have wood paneling walls. I thought, you know, to me it looks really cozy. You got a nice carpet floor, and you have the wood panel walls. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, I'm ready to wrap up in a blanket and enjoy winter. You know what I mean? I don't know why they got rid of the wood paneling walls look sometime in the 90s. But I remember it, like, you know, as a kid and stuff, I like, there's pictures of me as a kid where the wall behind, there's like a wood paneling wall behind me. So like, I remember it was a thing. Like everybody's house you used to go into would have like wood like, you know, like that 1/8 of an inch thick wood paneling on their walls. It was just a thing everywhere. It looks like the signal's holding up pretty good. Pretty much drove the whole way from one end of the highway to the other, from where the big city connects into the small town. Out here, I'm almost in the small town now, but at least the stream hung on that whole way through there. Yeah, it just has more of a cozy feel, you know, especially if you have like that woodsy, you know, all your furniture has like a nice dark wood look to it, you know what I mean? Either that or like black furniture. Or maybe like a red suede couch. You know, you got wood panel walls and like a red suede couch. Oh man, you probably can't even see it. This truck is huge, man. You couldn't even see it. That's one thing that's driving me nuts, man. Like, gas prices went up so much. Like, gas prices doubled. And it's like I'm seeing bigger trucks on the road now than when gas was $2.65. You know, I wasn't seeing all these huge ass trucks. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to them. You know, probably more or less. But yeah, now that diesel's over $6 a gallon, there's all these fucking huge ass diesels everywhere. There's what? Two and a half ridiculously huge trucks in that parking lot. Let's see, what's this one look like? 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 ridiculously huge trucks in that parking lot. It's like, I don't know why people why do you need to take a 4-door, you know, a crew cab dually? You have to take a crew cab dually with you to go out to eat somewhere, and then it's just you and your wife. You're not even bringing like a couple of kids in the back seat. It's just you and your wife in the front seat. But you had to take your dually out to dinner. You know? Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. House was built in 1990, wood panels. Yeah. Yeah, and then they made this escape room over here, because like, I don't know, escape rooms are really big right now. People, you pay for them to lock you in a room for an hour, and then you see if you can solve a bunch of puzzles to unlock the door to get out of the room before the hour runs up. So either way, they charge you for an hour. Just if you're smart, you know what you're doing, you can get out faster than an hour. Yeah. But like this town itself is already an escape room. So it's like, you know, it's like putting a hat on top of a hat. The town's already an escape room, and they built an escape room. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like, spin around twice. All right, now give me $100. Good luck getting out. Now I'm back in the small town. Yeah, traffic's been pretty good today for a Sunday. You know, I get that it's Easter, but traffic right now is fucking 6:30, and it looks like it might as well be like 6 a.m. Chilling. But yeah, I did get one order. Pretty much got one order for $15. It took me out that way, so I went ahead and went the rest of the way. Got a shower, so now I feel better at least. If I get another order, I don't have to feel like I'm covered in slime. when I go to pick it up. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think I'm gonna hang out like right about here. They left their open sign on. Nah, it's not working. Pull forward. There we go. But yeah. Yeah, there's like too many people with guns in this country, really. It's like half the people with guns, they have a gun because they feel like they need to have a gun because everybody else has a gun. So they've got to have a gun to protect themselves from everybody else with a gun. And then the other people that have a gun, the only reason they have a gun is because they're drug dealers. You know. So you know all these guns, you know, everybody's got a gun back and forth over here, over there. You know, and then they got their 8-year-old, they're trying to teach their 8-year-old gun safety and stuff, so they teach you how to shoot a gun, you know, so, you know, and then you got people that are getting paid to shoot a gun, people you know, it's like, just like so much of our culture is guns. Two guys that are gun people, you know, the two of them, you're gonna be over there, they'll just be talking about guns for like 3 or 4 hours. You know, different guns and different grips and, you know, hair trigger this and, you know, what kind of bullets they use, and, you know, it's just, it's so stupid. You know, like they're talking about all these different guns and shit, and meanwhile our military is like using lasers and, you know, like I just try to remind them, you know, like it's bullets versus lasers, bullets versus lasers, bullets versus lasers. Yeah. Oh, I had some good viewership for a minute there. I had like 3 people that were hanging out. And then I started talking about gun rights. My fault. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a liberal. I wouldn't say I'm conservative. I'm kind of like more or less something in the middle. Like I feel like the majority of us should be. But yeah, it's a nice town, man. Like I said, it's Sunday. You know, it's Easter Sunday. Granted, normally this parking lot would be packed like any day of the week: Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. You know, right now there's probably enough room in this parking lot for about 300 cars. There's probably about 40 cars in this parking lot right now. Like this is kind of like, this is what this town used to look like when I was growing up in this town. The highway is moving kind of quicker than what I remember. But yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to get some more subscribers, man. Pretty much the rest of the world thinks the U.S. is crazy with so many guns around. Yeah, I mean we're like the kids' table. You know what I mean? That's the way I've thought about it for a while. I think for the most part, if we wouldn't have got our independence from England, I think England would have probably been like, okay, you can do your own thing. After a while, you know what I mean? They probably wanted to make a little bit more money off of us, a little more revenue from the colonies. You know what I mean? But I think eventually England wouldn't have wanted to have us as a problem. You know what I mean? They would have been, they would have been like, okay, well, yeah, you go try doing it on your own for a while. We'll watch. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like we're like the kids' table of the world. Like the rest of the world watches us because they have to. Because you know what I mean? If you're not paying attention to America, next thing you know, America owns Mars. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of like, at least out of the corner of your eye, what are they doing over there? You know. But I don't think we'll have to worry about countries. They had some kind of pact that they signed when with the moon, when we were fucking with the moon race and all that. They signed some kind of pact to where any interstellar body you can't claim, like the way that when King James first came here and tried to claim all this land, or I don't know, but they were trying to they set some kind of pact in motion when we were landing on the moon, that like no country owns the moon. It's global domain. You know what I mean? It can't belong to any one particular nation. But they basically, the way they wrote it, it applies to every other planet as well. Like Mars would still be underneath that same rule, under that same law, where we won't have to worry about different countries. I think we'll more or less have to worry about corporations taking over Mars. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the U.S. is going to have a certain amount of mileage. We're not going to have a certain amount of square kilometers of Mars. China's not going to have we might to some extent, but it's more or less going to be different corporations that are going to own different percentages of the surface of Mars. I don't know. It'll be interesting, though. It's definitely a step forward. And it's scary to some extent, but it's only like, you get that gut feeling like this is a bad town. I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Just listen to your gut when your gut's telling, like, okay, don't go down that alley. You know what I mean? Don't even walk around that block of the city. You know what I mean? The kind of the reason I don't deliver in the whole one side of the big city, pretty much, because the whole side of the city, not only do I not know which street I'm gonna be on, I don't know what house I'm gonna pull up to, I don't know who's gonna be on the other side of the door. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of things. But yeah, like if you know in your gut like it's not a safe spot, then I wouldn't be there. But not all of Florida, not all of America's like that either. You've got some places where they use the gun rights the way that they're supposed to. You know what I mean? And just they use their gun to get someone out of their house. You know what I mean? Or they use their gun to keep a nuisance animal from coming on their property. They use their gun to shoot coyotes. I mean, you still got a lot of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in any one of the tourist spots, that's not gonna. You're not gonna have to. They're gonna more or less want the money. You know what I mean? They're going to want the money out of your pocket the right way. But yeah, what I got 70%. That's phone battery. But yeah, like I want to go storm Times Square. You know what I mean? But I don't want to go by myself. I want to have like at least one buddy with me. The two of us are, in Times Square, just just fucking around, doing shit, looking at shit. You know what I mean? I've never been, but I wouldn't I wouldn't go for like the Thanksgiving Day parade or like for the ball drop at New Year's. You know what I mean? I would try to avoid some of the crowd that's going to be there. Just like you wouldn't go to Disney World on July 4th. You know what I mean? But yeah. Right. Yeah, every country. Some countries it's the entire country. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I don't know. Right. Hey, places are too crowded too, man. That's why I really wish, man, it'd be nice if some of these theme parks, if they had like a night, like like if Disney World was open at night, but also like at night you have to be over 18. Like at 10 p.m. or whatever, the park stays open. There's, you know what I mean. Pretty much just keep the park open. Keep the park open around the clock. You know what I mean? Maybe some of it could close down, this, that, the other, some of the restaurants or whatever. But yeah, I've always wondered why they didn't do that. I feel like they could ultimately make more money, and then the adults could go at night when it's not as crowd. Yeah. It sounds like shit. This fucking rich bitch kid and his fucking parents' BMW. I know it's his parents' BMW because the dude looked like he was not even 21 years old yet. Yeah, that's the other part of America I hate, man. All the spoiled fucking bitchy rich kids and shit. Like, kind of myself included, but I'm not a rich kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. These kids that, there's a certain type of kid, they'll never have to touch a shovel or a rake in their life. You know what I mean? Those types of kids. They'll never have to touch a broom or a shovel or a rake or a mop at any time in their life, because daddy's set up well enough from his daddy setting them up well enough that their kids won't have to actually do work to make money. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like my grandfather, he worked for the concrete company, like the city, like at the time, the 50s. We're talking, like my dad was born in 57. So like, we're talking like the first part of the 50s, probably, because he had, my grandfather had 3 girls before he had my dad. So he was, he was a father before my dad. You know what I mean? And he had a job where he was working in the city of Tampa, testing different concrete mixes. Different, what if we did more port? What if this one has more sand? What if this one has more cement? What if this one has more rock? They were testing a different evaluations, like the chemical composition of the concrete itself, to figure out like what would be the strongest concrete to use. And then he also, after they did that, they were laying the concrete in the middle of the city, pretty much like before there was a road. They would, they dig out a huge, and then put a big, huge 12-foot or 6-meter in diameter, right? The diameter across this pipe is that big. It goes underground. That's kind of the work that my grandfather was doing in the 50s and the 60s. I don't know. And for some reason, my dad, when he came of age, was first started working, he got into demolition, and he was like just like taking out an old bridge or something like that. He tells me about it every now and then. But from the demolition job, he got into a concrete curbing job where they did like the finished curbs and stuff, like the islands around, like that's what my dad does. Is there's a machine and he pushes a wheelbarrow full of concrete and keeps the machine full of concrete so that way he can keep pushing out the concrete curbs. You know what I mean? He's pretty much he's done that and been a dishwasher pretty much my whole life. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, man. This country, it costs too much to live here. It's like they really don't even want the citizens to actually live here. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like living in a country that doesn't even like want you there. And then, but you're gonna have to pay. You have to pay every dime that you have to live here. I don't know. I'm not explaining it the right way. Like, we really don't want you here, but since you're here, you're gonna have to pay me you're gonna have to pay me to stick around. Oh, look out now! Oh no! See this guy? I can't. Man, he's gone. That's a Florida biker right there. No helmet, and then he's wearing slides. He's riding a motorcycle with no helmet, a pair of sunglasses on, and slides for his shoes. Everything's insane now, man. It depends on what your level of insanity is. You know what I mean? Because there's people from other states, I tell them the prices of stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that's cheap." You know what I mean? Well, yeah, it's because they got to your state first. You know what I mean? It's going to happen here next. Like we're on the way there. You know what I mean? And it's still not right because like they pretty much fucked up this area. Somebody was going around in New York and then advertising the prices for the houses down here, and so we had a flood of people from New York, and then the people that we got that were coming down for those advertised prices, they were all like more lower income people, more lower middle, and then so they were like, oh shit, a house for only $250,000, versus the $800,000 house that they get there. Like I've seen it. Some of the places in New York, it's like $850, $900,000 house, but it's just a little fucking. It looks like the wind's gonna blow it over. They kind of dressed it up a little bit. It's got a nice front porch on it, maybe. You know what I mean? But yeah, it looks like the wind's gonna blow it over. A good storm comes, it's gone. They're trying to get $800,000 out of it. A house that's been there for 100 fucking years. The plumbing's 100 years old. The electric's 100 years old. But then they see the price of the shit down here, and they jump on it. You know what I mean? But then they come down here and they join our already saturated work market because we have so there's a lot of migrant workers here as it is. You know what I mean? And then so now you got a bunch of people from out of state that are used to making more money per hour that came down here because the housing was cheaper. But then they come down here and then they see how much money they're making per hour, and they don't put in. They're not like they're going. So they go to work. You know what I mean? But they're not putting enough effort into like the work that they're doing. Kind of like me, I guess, to some extent. You know what I mean? But I'm only kind of reflecting off of every other worker. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be, if he's doing so much and then she's doing so much and then he's doing so much and then we're all getting paid the same, why am I going to do any more than the rest of them? But yeah, it's like, I don't know, the whole economy is so fucked up here. And like I said, the job market was already oversaturated from the amount of people that wanted to live in Florida or have made it to Florida from somewhere else, you know. And then we got all these other people from another state and basically come here and like ruin the vibe. You know what I mean? Like Florida, you know, we used to kind of be on island time. You know, like yeah, everything kind of moved a little bit slower. You know what I mean? You know, it used to be nice, like paradise kind of, and now it's like little New York. You know. But like everywhere I go, I'm getting chased by somebody getting there. You know. Fucking, I'm trying to go around the drive-through, and then I got two cars piled up behind me, you know, and they're pushing me to go around the drive-through faster. And, you know what I mean? Shit, it's just stupid shit like that, man. People are, I don't know, it's just a whole nother vibe here than it was before COVID and now. And it wasn't COVID that did it. It was a bunch of shit, you know. Yeah. And you could still find deals certain places, certain holidays and that kind of shit. Sometimes you can find a deal just to be on a different sim, like our eSIMs here in the US. Like you might have a better price. Like you could be going to the same website that we would be going to, but because you're in Australia, you might find the price for like $10 or $15 cheaper than us as US citizens. Like, you know what I mean? It'll be the same place, but it'll cost us $20 more a night. So that's, you know, something to look into. I don't know, man. I just try to keep living, man. You know what I mean? It's not too hard. But yeah, the further I go, the more I'm thinking like I might as well just not even get a place. Just continue to save that money. Because if I buy land, I might ultimately be stuck with it. You know what I mean? Like I could buy it and then not be able to ever sell it to somebody else, and then I'm just like stuck with it. I'm stuck with this permanent, you know, property tax that I have to pay on this shit, or just forfeit the property and lose all the money that I put into it. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Oh, that's called the Breakfast Station. It's like, you know, one of them like 50s train car diner kind of feel. You know what I mean? They need to make the restaurant bigger. Every breakfast station that I go into, they're always super duper packed, and it's always like this little tiny ass restaurant. You know, there's 100 people in this restaurant that's like this big. You know, like 50 tables, and then they've got enough business they could buy two. You know, they could buy a double storefront, and then, you know, that way they would ultimately have more customers. Even, I feel like, because it wouldn't feel so crowded when the people that did come. You'd have twice the square footage, 4 people to sit, and then also hopefully you know, the place would stay a little less crowded, so that way more of a crowd could come in and out throughout the day. You know, but whatever. I really don't know how businessmen think. He's probably thinking, you know, what's the most money I can make off spending the least amount. So that's probably why he's only got the one, you know, one store. It is unstable to buy land right now. I kind of feel that way, but also I kind of feel like it's unstable to hold on to the dollar at the same time. Like if I were to buy land for cheap, the cheaper the better, right? Ultimately, if I could find land for under 10K, everything's going to inflate in the next 10, 15 years. So, you know, like I'll need a place to live at the same time too. If this is like my own vacant land, granted I might get into certain trouble or whatever, this, that, the other, but I'm trying to get the land and then not even do anything with it. Just buy it, hold it as like an investment piece. You know what I mean? And like I said, I can have a place I can park my car in the meantime. Wait. You're like in the same parking lot. But yeah, like if I could buy land, I'd basically lock in today's prices rather than the prices in another 10 years that I'm sure are probably going to be double what they are now, because they're only going to coax more and more people to want to move to Florida and help build on the infrastructure that's already here. You know what I mean? That's the other part of it too, is like all the land that I can buy, it's all land that still needs a bunch of work done to it. You know, it's stupid, man. And then I'm doing all the work that the county should be doing. The county should be paying for to connect this property into the utilities of, connected into the county water lines, connected into the county sewer lines. But I'm the one paying to do that, you know. So part of me, it's just like what I'm saying. It's like I don't even know if it's even worth it to do any of that. I don't know which direction to even take with my own life anymore, you know. The only thing I know that makes any kind of sense in my head is I need to find a way to make more money per day than I'm spending per day. You know what I mean? And then the job that I have, it's not exactly helping me with that. You know what I mean? In 2000, okay, in 2002, okay, so I was in like third grade. I bought a 5-year-old 3-bedroom manufactured house on 3 acres. That's not bad, man. Now, granted, I didn't think I would get all that for 115,000. You know what I mean? Because granted, like I knew it was going to be 2025 by the time I would be at the point where I could afford a house. But I was still thinking there'd be some properties out there for under 100K somehow or another. You know what I mean? Like a quarter acre with a house that's been there for 50 years. Something. You know what I mean? There's I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, the prices have just got insane. It's to me, it sounds insane to even sign up to want to pay it and be on the hook for all this money each fucking month. Go into a job you don't even fucking want it, the whole thing just sounds so fucking insane, man. And then they want to pay you the least amount and then still try to extract as much as they possibly can from you. Pay you the floor price for working per hour, and then constantly be trying to see what all they can get from you. So I don't know, man. Part of me, I'm thinking like, why don't I just get something I could pull with this car, put a trailer hitch on this car and get a really really tiny, little fucking like box cargo hauler kind of thing, like little tiny, 6 foot long. You know what I mean? I could get into that, right, and then just lock myself in. I'd have steel walls to some extent. You know what I mean? And then I could just pull that bitch around with me everywhere. Get something small enough and light enough where it'd be kind of stupid be running Uber orders with that thing attached, but I would have to, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. But at that point, I might as well just get a van, Wouldn't it be easier if I just got a van, kind of? But I've been noticing too, like There's a couple of buy here, pay here places, you know, like little mom and pop roadside car dealers. But all these roadside car dealers, man, and none of them have any vans. It's kind of weird. There's like 5 different places where in this little town that I'm in, like 5 different places I could go to buy a car. You know what I mean? For like $1,000 down and then some kind of monthly payment. But none of them have a van. There's a couple of them that have campers. They're selling campers as a vehicle. They've got a couple, like 5 campers on the back that they're trying to sell. But all the vans are gone for one reason or another. But yeah, I asked Google houses in Florida. Yeah. Yeah, let me know what it came back with. I should probably do that. It keeps just wanting to direct me to Zillow. And then fucking Zillow, it's a big, huge fucking, market structure with all that. You got like 5 people all trying to make some money off you trying to buy a fucking house. Off you just trying to find a place for you to fucking belong. 5 or 6 fucking people make money plus the companies that they work for, I'm sure it exists. I need to get a little bit more capital in my hand before I don't want to just be wasting someone's time either. You know what I mean? I'm already wasted enough of y'all's time. You know what I mean? Like, and I go talk to somebody and I don't even have 10 grand to even do anything with. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be like, well, call me back in 6 months when you have the rest of the money. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the one realtor dude that's supposed to be helping me. Like, I messaged him the other day. I'm like, you found anything yet? Because that's what I know of realtors. You give them certain parameters, like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Want this X amount of square footage. I'm wanting to find no HOA. Da 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 da. You give them parameters for what you're looking for, and then they go out and do the shopping. And then they get like 5 properties together, and then on a Saturday or whatever, you go and you look at them all. You go with the realtor. He's got permission from the owner to be there. I thought that's what a realtor did. But this guy, he's not doing shit for me. You know what I mean? Like, all of the footwork I've been doing on my own. And at the same time, if I want to go look at the property, I got to bring the fucking realtor with me. So, so there's not a possibility of me getting shot at. You know what I mean? And then he gets a cut on this. And then he's not even fucking really even doing anything for me. Like I said, I'm the one doing all the homework on it, I hit him up the other day. I'm like, hey, have you found anything yet? And he's like, he kind of messaged me back like, I didn't know I was supposed to be looking. And it's like, what do you mean? It's your fucking job. You're a realtor. You think you're supposed to get 2-3% for doing nothing? Like, what the fuck, bro? And then, I look at the guy. The guy looks more able-bodied than me. You know what I mean? And then yet what he does for work is he rips people off. Anybody that's trying to buy a house, he rips off for 2% instead of actually working. That's what he does for work. You know what I mean? I hate that shit too, man. That shit pisses me off, dude. And like I get that, like the philosophy, like that we all have the same brain. We're just in different bodies. So I don't know why we don't get more use out of the bodies. You know what I mean? we don't really accurately use the bodies the right way. I feel like, because like I said, all the time I see that. I see people that are more able-bodied than me doing some shit where they're not even fucking actually working. You know what I mean? Like, I need the overnight security job. Yeah. Like I said, I'm waiting until I got more cash in my hand to do that. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it quite that far where I'm gonna have enough fungible liquid where I can even do that. And then, like I'm saying, I might get to that point and just say fuck it altogether. But there really isn't. There's nothing else that the world's got that I really want to buy right now. You know what I mean? There's nothing that's like driving me insane without, other than like a piece of land. You know what I mean? And I'm getting to the point. I'm even thinking about getting land somewhere else, other than what I'm, other than where I'm thinking about, because I got enough money now. I could buy land if I was okay with living way up on the north side of the county. You know what I mean? Far away from everything. You know what I mean? I could get land out there for like $6,000. You know what I mean? And then it's so far away from everything that nobody would care what I'm doing with it. You know what I mean? Straight up. But at the same time, it's so far away, I know I'm going to be spending X amount for like just gas every day to come back and forth. So the the $6,000 that I'm saving after like 1 or 2 years, it's going to be spent anyway. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to be stuck living there for 20, 30 years, paying extra to get anywhere. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to spend the extra $6,000 when I was buying the property in the first place. So I don't know. I'm thinking about that, but even this town that I'm in, it's starting to give me bad vibes. Like I don't want to set up shop here for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? Like it's already kind of going downhill now. And if I set up shop here for the next 20 years, I'll just watch it go downhill more. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking I might go further up north anyway. Go up to there's like another city up north of this one, like pretty much a smaller version of this city. You know what I mean? But I could watch that city turn into this one basically in that 20 years, rather than watching this one turn into I don't even know. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, dude. But I know that other town, like up there, I can get property for about 9K up there. So it's like I can go way up over here for like 6K. Over here is like 9K, and then where I want to be, like right here, is like 12 and 15, right? So I'm thinking about, well, fuck, I'll give a couple more extra because it's up the same highway anyway. It'd be just this much further, you know what I mean? But like I said, all that mileage is gonna add up day after day after day. So I don't know. It's not really the best idea. And if I can get this spot here where I'm thinking, I'm not too far from my sister. If I do need any kind of help, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be roughing it on a patch of land. You know what I mean? I bet she'll let me come over and get a meal like once a week. You know, as long as I got clean enough ties with her. You know what I mean? I'll be the crazy uncle that's living in the woods behind the house. You know, to her kids or whatever. But that's fine. Whatever. You know what I mean? At the same time, I'm saving $2,000 a month versus what she's not. You know. But yeah, and then like eventually that $2,000 a month, it'll actually end up being something versus just paying to live here. Paying just because I simply exist. I don't know, man. The only hard part, because I'm thinking like it'd be hard to find marijuana in the Philippines. I would have to get rid of the marijuana. But I bet at that point I could probably just drink more margaritas. You know what I mean? Yeah. So honestly, I don't know, this almost might as well be a margarita. If you have a 620 credit score and put down 3%, 6K, you can go a long way in rural Florida. Buy a home with a well and septic. How do I do all that though, man? Because I've got all of that, and I went and talked to the bank about it. I went and talked to a realtor about it, and both of them act like, well, you still don't, you know what I mean? Like you still don't make enough. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like there's no option. You know what I mean? There's like, that's what I'm saying. I've already called them. Maybe I need to call around a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't looked at my credit in a while because my cards are pretty much maxed the fuck out right now, so I know it doesn't look good. But yeah, when my credit cards are zero, I've got like a 700 plus credit score. You know what I mean? It took me years to get there. Right. That's where I'm at. Like they always want to tell me, oh, it's not even about how many hours I'm working. It's about how much I'm getting paid per hour. That's what they told me. That's what Rocket Mortgage has told me. Um, like they're like, you need to find a way that you can make more per hour. Maybe find another job. And I'm like, well, see, what if that's not actually an option? There should still be an option for me. There should still be some kind of housing for me, though. You know what I mean? They should. All these houses, they don't need. You don't need granite fucking countertops in all these houses. Not. There's a lot of guys like me that we're not gonna be able to afford that. I really like. I just need a one-room shack on a fucking half-acre of land. Would be nice. That's to me that sounds like a lot of land to have to look out for. Actually, you know what I mean? you know. I just need enough electric that I can have a refrigerator. But yeah, it's like, yeah, they're selling us more house than we even need. You know what I mean? That's part of it. And like, I get what you're saying. I'm gonna look out. I'll look at it. I'll look into it some more. But 3% down. And then where's rural Florida too? Like, I need something that's gonna be close to my job. You know what I mean? Because I plan on, if I can just kick this job out till the end. You know what I mean? And then the end, I'm planning on Bitcoin ultimately. You know what I mean? I can just keep trying to fund as much as, keep putting as much as I can into savings in Bitcoin. And then when I get to that point where, you know what I mean, I can, yeah. I don't know, man. But rather than waiting on Social Security, if Social Security even happens, and then everybody wants to tell me, like, you're not going to get Social Security because you don't work enough. And it's like, okay, well then, so why are they taking money out of my check to begin with? It's like, if they weren't going to give me anything back later, they shouldn't be taking money from me now. You know what I mean? Like, I granted, I get that I'm not working at the same percentage as everybody else, but I still feel like I'm entitled to some sort of the percentage that I have been putting in. You know what I mean? Not entitled, I should say. You know what I mean? But that's, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. Like, if I work till 68, either way, if I work till 68, whether I'm part-time or not, I should still get some benefit from me paying in that whole time. And otherwise, why am I paying in? You know what I mean? Which I think that's ultimately is going to be the case. So that's why I'm like, well, then why am I paying in? You know what I mean? I might as well just get the fuck out of here. Like, why am I spending more time working just so y'all get bigger? I want to just work enough for myself. Which I'm currently doing, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing that I'm kind of stressing about necessarily, not necessarily, the credit cards are maxed. But the only reason the credit cards are maxed is because I was saving in Bitcoin so aggressively. I was trying to get up to a certain percentage with my stack. You know what I mean? But now I've made it up to that percentage with my Bitcoin stack that now I need to just go ahead and throw the money back on the credit cards. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much. But even still, when my debts are zeroed out, they want to give me the same information. Like, you still don't technically make enough where we can do anything, because they've got everything priced as if I'm gonna buy a $300,000 house. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to buy a 75K fixer upper. You know what I mean? A fixer upper that I don't even really plan on actually fixing up. You know what I mean? Because I buy it for 75K and then put another 25K worth of work into it. Why? Why don't I just buy it for the 75K and then try to keep it as nice as I can, and then hopefully get the same 75K out of it later, and then it'll sell quicker because it's a cheaper house too. You know what I mean? Like, it won't sit on the market for 180 days being that cheap of a house. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't have a different philosophy on that. Like, but that's what I'm trying to, like something for like 75, maybe 80, 90K at the most, something under 100,000. You know what I mean? And then even still, like, they don't get it's like it's your house. It's going to be like kind of your number one priority each month is to kind of keep making that payment. And then, you know what I mean? If you don't make that payment, it's the house still retains a value. All they have to do is throw you out of it, Um, but yeah, I don't know. They never seem to get that aspect where it's like, I'll need some place to live too. Like I'll be paying this money for a place to live. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain level of seriousness into that. Looking hard to find property that will fit your income/budget. Yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm at. Like where if I just bought the dirt, just bought the land, right? I don't, because even I don't know, man. Even I've seen some places. This one lady was showing me 40K, right? It already had the electric hookup. It already had the, it was a trailer that needed to be removed from the property. It was that bad of a trailer. It was in no way going to be livable. But since the trailer was already there, you didn't have to worry about paying the impact fee for building. You didn't have to worry about having an electrical engineer come and hook it up to the electric. You know what I mean? All you would have to do is pay like 5K to get that trailer removed, and then just buy another trailer somehow, drop it there, and then you're good to go. But even still, she wanted 40K. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, so 40K plus would be about another 40K to get another trailer, drop that on, regardless, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's where I'm at. Where if I can just find a piece of dirt for under 20K, and then just park my car on it, and then if I can get away with that for about 5 years even, and then in 5 years time put the property back up on the market for the same price that I paid for, and then hopefully it'll sell quick, because every other piece of property has gone up. They're trying to get 50K out of the thing I'm selling for 25. They're trying to get 50K out of, you know what I mean? So hopefully I don't have to sit on that forever. You know what I mean? Because I might not ultimately, you know what I mean? I might buy it just as an investment, just because I need a place to live in the meantime. You know what I mean? But I might not buy it because I ultimately want to build a house in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Because my plans might change, you know what I mean? And ultimately, I don't even know if I'm thinking house anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking shack. Shack with like a little bit of solar and wind power if I can get it. You know what I mean? Which I know I can get solar, to some extent. I'll be able to get solar, and then I could probably go get a little windmill. Like I've seen them at, like Rural King or Tractor Supply. There'd be like a little windmill that generates like 100 watts of power or some shit. Long term, it's pretty hard to lose with property and serves the purpose of a place to live. Yeah. But I'm just worried because, like, everywhere that I want to live, I want to live somewhere that's close to or adjacent to the job that I currently have. You know what I mean? And then all the land that is within about a half-hour drive of the job, it's all got some kind of restriction on it where I'm going to get in trouble. You know what I mean? Somewhere down the line, I'm going to get in trouble for parking my car on my land. I already know. So it's got me hesitant to, because I could shell all that money out and then live on it for like 6 months before it's a problem, and then I can't anymore. And then I'm stuck with this land, you know what I mean, that I can't even, they won't even let me park my car on. You know what I mean? Or they'll expect me to make certain improvements in a certain time. That's part of what it is too. Like I can't get it financed because if I get it financed, they'll expect me to start building within 12 months of the purchase date. So I have to buy it outright to avoid that. But I'm sure even if I do that, I've heard some stuff about you still have to plug it into the water and septic. Like you still have to get a well and septic. So even that's going to cost a couple dollars, whether I build on it or not. You have to do that or some shit. It's stupid. Yeah. And that's pretty much where I'm at. Like I've made it to I've made it to the certain level with my Bitcoin stack that, you know what I mean, all I need to do is kind of wait on that, like just not spend it, not divvy into it at all, make enough money each day that I don't have to touch that, you know what I mean? And then like they're predicting in the next like 5-10 years that we're in a real big draw up on it, because it's starting to hit more like mainstream media, you know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, like just make enough that I don't have to touch what's in my savings. And since what I'm saving is in Bitcoin, you know what I mean, there's at least a possibility, you know what I mean, versus if I was just saving in dollar, I'm just watching my savings melt as I'm trying to save, you know what I mean. But yeah, that's where I see it. At least if I just had like just 5K in my savings account at the bank, yeah, it'd be safe because it's in the bank to some extent, but with it being in Bitcoin, it's even safer. And then, you know what I mean, like since Bitcoin's already had like a 50% drawdown to get to the number it's at today, it would have to have another 50% drawdown from where it's at. You know what I mean? If I lose money on it, it's only going to be a temporary thing. But yeah, I don't think on like a 4, you know what I mean? I don't think on Bitcoin with a 2-year horizon. I think of Bitcoin with like a 4 or 10-year horizon. You know what I mean? Possibly even a 20-year horizon. But at the same time, I don't see Social Security being my way to retirement. Like I see Bitcoin being my way to retirement. You know what I mean? I don't think Social Security is really even gonna be an option for me. You know what I mean? So I feel like if I'm going to be able to retire at all, it's gonna be because I made the right investments. And I think honestly, you know, like investing in Bitcoin is something everybody's gonna have to invest in at some point. It's just weird because you can't, with our national currencies and the way that they are, you can't just like work for Bitcoin directly. You have to, you know, if for instance, you have to work for the Australian dollar, and then you take the Australian dollar and then convert it into Bitcoin. Your job won't just pay you in Bitcoin directly because they didn't create it. You know what I mean? Like whereas the Australian dollar, your own government creates. They can pay. How many of them do you want? We'll make you more. You know what I mean? So I don't know, it's a little different. But it's like a flywheel. It's you know. Just I don't know, just to me, just keeping my money in US dollar, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like I have to put the dollar somewhere else. You know what I mean? Even if I were to say I was buying Pokemon cards with the dollar, or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or comic books, you know, something that I would, you know, taking my $10 and putting it into something that I could pray is going to be worth more later. You know what I mean? Rather than just holding on to the $10. You're gonna hold on to $10 and pray it's gonna be worth more in 10 years? Like what? How do you do that? that's just not even, you know, it's not even physically possible. You know, the way the world works, that's not even gonna happen. So if you're just holding on to $10 loosely, you know that you know what I'm saying, you get my point. Like you have to find something to do with that money. You know what I mean? And then everything else that the world has to offer, I don't see what it is that people are buying. You know what I mean? Like it don't make no sense to me to buy a BMW. It don't make no sense to me to buy a McLaren. It don't make no sense to me to buy a seat on a rocket ship that's going, you know, it's going to go slightly out of orbit of Earth and then come back down. You know, that's a fucking $1 billion seat. You know, or you know what I mean? I don't know. Even thinking on a smaller scale, there's not even, when I go to Walmart or nothing. You know what I mean? There's nothing that's at Walmart that I'm willing to risk $20 today to get that I could have put into Bitcoin for myself for later. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're saying the inflation's been way worse than just like 2% though. For like, I mean, since 2018 and now, well, since 2015 and now, I've seen the prices on shit 3x, at least in the housing market. Because kind of like what Jerry was saying, like housing in this area used to be like $150,000. You could find a place, a decent 3 bedroom something was like 150,000, and now they're trying to get the the mid 300,000s. So almost a triple in price in 10 years time. And that's the housing market though, you know what I mean? It's been an influx of people wanting to move here and everything. But like even the price of ground beef and shit, everyday stuff like eggs used to be $1 a dozen 10 years ago, and now they're like $5 a dozen. And it's just eggs. It's almost literally just chicken shit. It's not quite chicken shit, but it's still kind of like it's just something that chicken shits out. For some reason, we eat it. It just happens naturally. But yeah, it's like they want $1 a piece for eggs at the grocery store, man. And that's what I'm saying. That 2%, man, that's bullshit. That's just the fairy tale that they feed you. It's whatever percent they want. They can do 50% inflation in 1 year if they need. You know what I mean? If they need that much money for whatever they're trying to justify, they'll double how much money is currently in supply in 1 year. I've seen them do it in some countries in my life. You know what I mean? I like Love Shack so yeah. And that's what I'm saying. They're like freaking out right now because I don't know, man. Like all the shit's hitting the fan. Like the last 50 years, the pile of shit we've been making, it's all kind of hitting the fan now. But like I think about it this way, man. Like Ukraine probably wouldn't even be a country right now if it weren't for crypto. Ukraine probably would have already been absorbed if we would, you know what I'm saying, if the whole world didn't give them all these crypto donations. So like one way or another, you know what I mean. And then me as a Bitcoiner, when I see two countries go into war with each other, not that I'm really like rooting for them to go to war with each other, but as they go to war with each other and print more money and debase their own currency more, it's good for me as a Bitcoiner because my currency goes up and the scarcity of everything. Like every country is about to go to war, and we can all buy into the one bank in Switzerland that's actually going to outlive all of them. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it too, man. I'm trying, like, I want to get to 0.21. I feel like 21% of a Bitcoin will be a lot of leverage in the future. You know what I mean? And then the supply and demand of it all, the 0.21% of a Bitcoin, or not percent, but 21% of a Bitcoin. If you were to divide that evenly, only 100 million people could have 21% of a Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And then, like, hopefully with that much, and it goes to 1 million, and I have 21. I'd have $210,000 basically of strength, basically. You know, not necessarily liquidity, but I would have $210,000 that I could borrow against. You know what I mean? And then odds are I would just keep working at the same time too. But yeah, just hunker down somewhere and get a, like you're saying, yeah, just get a minivan and just find a place to just hunker down somewhere. Just watch time roll. But yeah, like I'm saying, I don't know where else I would put that money that I want to, if I really plan on saving it to do something a little bit more exponential later. Between now and actually buying the land, I don't feel like it's smart to just hold it in dollar. But yeah. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's what they predict, man. A lot of people that went to school for engineering and stuff, a lot of software engineers, people that built the internet up into what it is. The internet needed its own currency. Like we needed, you know what I mean? There was even old people older than Warren Buffett that were saying that. Like the internet needs some kind of like e-cash system. It was the only thing that the internet was missing was some kind of currency that we could exchange with globally. You know what I mean? And then we finally created it. And it's got a pretty good name too. You know, like I don't know. But yeah, the internet, it's not going anywhere, man. It's only gonna get bigger. And the thing, like I see people in my life, like the old people that were like, "Oh, I'm never touching a keyboard," you know, and now they can't go to work without touching a keyboard or playing with a smartphone. You know what I mean? I've been in Lowe's, for instance. You know, there'd be like some senior citizen guy with a blue vest on, you know, glasses, and he's pulling out his phone. He's got to do something in his phone to tell his boss that he's working. You know, and it's like they didn't even think that they would be working. You know what I mean? They didn't think computers would take off that quick. But yeah, there's lots of other predictions that you don't agree with. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, but at the same time, where's a better place? You know what I mean? What would be a better thing that I should be putting the money on? Because I'm only need, like, I want to keep it in a currency still. You know what I mean? So that way, if I need it, I can access it. I can still be liquid enough that I can get to it. You know what I mean? And then other than land, nothing else seems like it's a really good investment. You know what I mean? Like even if I were to buy gold, I still wouldn't want. I don't know. I wouldn't want to just have physical gold, just like a box somewhere in my car where I'm stacking up, you know, gold rings and coins and stuff. You know what I mean? I'd want to own the gold digitally, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about the custody of it. You know what I mean? I could have it locked away under a couple passwords on my phone. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So that's what I don't know. That's what I'm doing, man. Trying to just keep going. Like I don't want to beat the car out before I get there. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take care of her at the same time. Make sure she's still moving for me, because I'll probably need the car for another 6 months after I buy the land and whatever. It'll probably take me another 6 months to get enough money together to be able to buy a van from that point. I don't know. Part of me is thinking, let's go ahead and just get the van now. But I know if I jump on that, I'll probably end up not getting the land. one way or another. Right. I don't know. For me, it's the opposite, man. Because I don't see any other way, man. Like I'm only gonna make so much by working. I've gotta take the money I'm working for and invest it in the right direction. You know, I feel like it's like investing in General Electric. You know, like imagine if you could have invested in General Electric 10 years after Edison made the light bulb. Which, you know, 10 years later, you would have probably been behind the wave to some extent, but just 10 years after he made the light bulb, you still would have had like the last 90 years of run up. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I see it. It's an invention that's that big. It's, you know what I mean? It's equal to the light bulb, in my opinion. But there'd be 1,000 companies that failed. It's easy in hindsight. No, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to gamble to get ahead, but the amount of work that they want out of people nowadays for you to get ahead, like on the other side of things, I've already kind of been giving them what I could, you know what I mean, for like I guess until 2022, right? But basically, like since I got out of high school and then I was giving them everything that I could, pretty much trying to make more money from working hard, you know what I mean, and only to find that it still depends on who you know. You know what I mean? You could show up to work and all you really got to do is show up on time, you know. But because you know this guy and that guy, you're gonna get bumped up faster. You know, I've seen it. I like, you know what I mean. I've lived it. You know what I mean. I've given them what I could, honestly. You know what I mean, and it hasn't gotten me anywhere. So I'm to the point now where I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna kick back. You know, like fuck it, dude. I'm tired of climbing. You know, like I'm just gonna hang out wherever I'm at. You know. But yeah. Right. That's the way it used to work, and then that's the way it kind of works now to some extent. But I don't have that much gas in me where I can give them as much as they're wanting from us. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just I know my own limitations. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's like playing a game of Monopoly, but you started the game after everybody else has gone around the board 10 times. And then, so now it's like everywhere you land, they just expect a shitload of money out of you. But you don't have it because you ain't even been around the board once. You know? Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm just trying to get, you know, living that philosophy like a man with no bills is a rich man. And then ultimately, if I have zero a month in bills, it don't matter. It don't matter what my income is because there's no bills that I'm responsible for. Like even with the land, I get the land. I'm trying to not do anything with it, so that way it keeps my property taxes lower. My property taxes could equal out to just being like $1 a day, because it's just raw vacant land. Then I'm paying 365 days. I'm paying under $400 a year for my housing, basically. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might dig a hole into the ground, you know, and then just have like a whole fucking den that I dug out. I got reinforced with 2x4s and everything. I do that, but I know that if I get caught by the county, that's a big huge problem. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't have like a structural engineer do all that, you're fucked. You know what I mean? So that probably is not the best way to go. I could just drop a shipping container on it. You know what I mean? And then just drop a shipping container on it and then just ventilate it a little bit, and boom, that's, you know, that's a place to hang out. You know what I mean? Just something where I can be outside of my car and I don't have to worry about the weather. You know what I mean? Like, the heat is one thing. You can't escape the heat. You know what I mean? Trench monkey, yeah, something like that. Because I've seen other people do it. They literally just like dig a hole, and then just like, you know, like they live like a mole man or whatever. There's a dude I seen. He lives in Arkansas. He just lives in a cave in Arkansas, and then for money, he goes deeper and deeper into his own cave, and finds minerals like different rocks, turquoise, whatever. Finds rocks, and as he needs money, he goes deeper into his cave and finds these rocks, and then brings them into the city, and trades them out for money, and then gets whatever supplies he needs, and then heads back into his cave. You know, he took something with an alternator. He hooked up an alternator to his creek, and now he put a couple light bulbs in the back of his cave and shit. So like, with the creek water running and spinning the alternator, generates enough power to put his lights on. And he was excited even for that. He's like, I got lights in my cave now. You know, he's like, I'm a millionaire. But yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, I think honestly, I could, just buy the land and just be chilling on my hammock, just waiting to go to work for the most part. You know what I mean? But yeah, I did hit one order today. It was $15. Like I said, it pulled me out to the gym, so I went out there and got a shower real quick. So that way, I was planning on getting a shower at some point today. And I felt like it would be better to get a shower now rather than stinking for another 6 hours. You know what I mean? So the order pulled me about halfway out to the gym, went the other half, took care of that. An older friend said you could all that dig your own water, build a shack, but no, they're all against it. Yep. And then there's places like that you can still do that, but you're out in the middle of West Virginia, or you're out in fucking Arizona. You're someplace that's like so rural, you're doing them a favor by living out there. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna pay and you're doing them a favor. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna be so far out that you're gonna be beneficial to the economy, because you're gonna be spending a bunch of money to, you know what I mean, to operate out there. So you're gonna be so far out that you're gonna have to spend money to even do that. You know what I mean? So that's why they'll agree to that. Some of those cases, you know what I mean? Because I've seen it in Arizona, New Mexico, Virginia, parts of North Carolina. You know what I mean? It's out there, but it's the thing is, it's like, it's too far fucking out there. I'm trying to live, I don't know, trying to live on grid but off grid. I know it doesn't really make sense, but you know what I mean. Ultimately, if I could just have a hammock behind this plaza that I'm sitting in front of, and just have a hammock in the woods behind this plaza, without them even knowing, I wouldn't need much more than that anyway. But yeah, I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. But yeah, that's all I really want to build, just like a little one-room shack. Fucking, it ultimately would be easier just to drop a shed on the property. You know what I mean? It'd save me a bunch of back. Just, you know what I mean? Go to my bullshit fucking counter parts job to be able to buy the tray, be able to buy the shed that I want to put on the property. Yep. Yeah, and I know even to put a shed on the property, they're gonna make me pay the impact fee and shit like that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm gonna try and get by just with just like a hammock or something. Just create a way that I can get out of the car. You know, create like a little, hang up a tarp, have a little camp chair. You know, like a little spot that I can pop out of the car, hang out. You know, like hanging out on my front porch or my back porch or whatever. You know what I mean? I wouldn't build too much more than that. Without going to the county and making sure they're all paid up. No, even to put a concrete slab down, I'll have to get permits for that. I've already looked into that. Like if I want to make a gravel driveway, you know, because I'd have to do land clearing to create a wide enough patch where I could drive my car through. And then if I put gravel, because they got like a water runoff trench off the side of the 2-lane road. They got where the water collects in the gutter line, basically. But the car would have to drive through that every time. So I was thinking about putting gravel to like level it off, you know, just have a patch of gravel, you know. But even to drop gravel, you have to get a permit because you're building a driveway at that point. You know what I mean? If you do X amount, that the county guy can come over and argue. You know what I mean? You should have got the permit. You shouldn't want. You know what I mean? Better to not argue with the county guys. Better just to pay the fine out front. You know, it's better to pay the fee than pay the fine. But yeah, even to put a driveway or a concrete slab down, I'm gonna have to pay the $12,000 impact fee at that point. So that's what I'm thinking about. Maybe I could just thatch some of the smaller trees that I'm cutting down, thatch them together, create like a kind of a lean-to, or you know, like a gondola, or you know what I mean, some kind of something out of smaller trees that I'm cutting down. You know what I mean? That I can literally just push it hard enough and the whole thing will fall over. So it's not even really, they couldn't get me with, you know, like you built a temporary structure. It's like, no, it's not. It's not even a structure. Look, it's just a fucking deck of cards, you know. It's literally just trees hanging off of each other. But I don't know. Even that, I bet I'm going to end up in trouble over. It's going to end up costing me money that I don't even have. I'll have to go make. I'll have to go make happen somehow because I don't have it. But yeah. You also can't block water flow in a swell cut. You need to put a concrete pipe under your driveway. Yeah. Right. That's what I was thinking with the gravel, because the water could still flow through the gravel to some extent. It would hold it a little bit, but it would flow through gravel better than it would flow through dirt. Oh yeah. Hang on. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. I've seen you see way more than ridiculously huge ass trucks now that the gas prices are higher. It's crazy. Maybe it's people who work for the oil company or something. They're making money to go out and drive their truck around. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Where I'm like, I don't know. It might even just be just as stupid to be buying land and be running into all kinds of payments and shit that I'll have to pay with that I don't even see yet. I don't know, man. I'm hoping, you know, maybe I can find somebody with the YouTube, somebody that lives here in Florida or something. They'd be like, oh man, yeah, I'll let you, you know, you stay on my porch for $100 a week, you know. I'd be like, all right, cool, let's do it. You know, you got enough electricity on your porch, I can run a couple of fans. Fuck yeah, let's do it. You know, you're getting $400 a month. You know, I'd have a place to hang out. you know, whoever would have like a buddy, you know, someone they can come out, you know, come out on the porch and smoke something, you know. Let's hang out for a minute, you know. I'm not trying to be here to be a burden, here to be a buddy. You know what I mean? That's the dream. I don't know, man. Like I say, I got one guy I could pretty much do that with, but he's out in Oklahoma, and I don't know shit about Oklahoma. You know what I mean? And then he's also got like a 3-month time limit, you know, or like, you know, like we talked about it already a little bit. You know, he said, you know, for like $650 a month, I'll put you up. He's like, I can get you work at my job. You know, like he wouldn't be doing nothing special. You know what I mean? But you could at least get some, you know, like I can get you into my job where you can get some hours, and then you pay me $650 a month to live there. But he said, you know, but only for like 3 months. I'm like, oh, I'm like, well, that's, you know, three months down the road, I'd be fucked. You know, I'd be upside down again, basically, trying to hang on to the job for dear life. You know. So I don't know. It's not really the best option. Like, granted, if he would do like a year, I could, you know what I mean? I can understand, you know, he wants his place back. You know what I mean? You're trying to help somebody out. You know, it's not, you don't want it to be like a 20-year thing. You know, I can get that whole side of it. I don't want it to be a 20-year thing either. You know, that's like, you know. But yeah, 3 months it's not quite long enough the way that shit is, man. You know, three months will fly by. You know. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an idea at this point. I've met a couple of people that they're subscribed to my channel that they live in Florida somewhere. You know what I mean? But I still gotta, you know, I gotta get to know them to the point where they would even want, you know, have somebody hanging out on their back porch for, you know, $400, $500 a month. There's a YouTuber named Narrowway Farms. He lives on off-grid Kentucky, I believe, where the number of county ordinances for living on land. Yeah. I seen a dude like that. I wanted to go check him out. His name is Titus. He's like an Amish. He's not Amish, but he follows the practices of the Amish. Like, I don't know. I guess to the Amish community, it's some reason or another, he must have been shunned by the Amish or something. I don't know. But he lives like you know, his only electricity he has is like a landline phone. Sorry. She's banging this line, that line. That song was such a banger, bro. Oh my god, they're gonna be playing that song for the next 20 years. I already know. At least you don't have somewhere comfortable to sleep. Yeah. If that doesn't work out, if that doesn't work, haven't lost much. Yeah. Like I got one buddy. He's out in Colorado, and I've talked to him too. I could talk. You know, he could get me a job packing cheese, literally just shoving cheese into cardboard boxes. $25 an hour. But the only thing is, I'd be in Colorado, where it's like winter 7 months of the year. You know what I mean? And that I've already driven in the snow. I don't like having to drive in the snow to get to work. You know what I mean? I feel like my life is on the line. All I'm trying to do is get to work and make money. But I'm putting my life on the line to be able to do that, like driving in the snow. You know what I mean? And in the job, they're never human with you on that, where they can understand, like, oh, you know, like you know, because literally you are like kind of risking life and death. You know what I mean? Driving in the snow sometimes. You know what I mean? So if you just didn't want to show up because you didn't want to die while driving to work, you know what I mean? They shouldn't hold that against you so much. But you know what I mean? It's I don't know. That's part of the reason I don't know why people live up north. Kind of like when I don't know. I was in Ohio for like 5 years, and that's part of the reason I wanted to get the fuck out, because I didn't want to do that for 20, 30 years, you know, like while I'm working, trying to pay for everything and cover everything, and then it's gonna randomly snow, and then, you know, make it a heart attack to drive to work. You know what I mean? Let me do that for 30 years. You know what I mean? I was just like, you know, and I can kind of see the same thing happening if I were to go to Colorado, where there's mountains and shit too. So the roads are going to be like this. You know what I mean? Plus the snow. I just don't think it's going to add up to anything. You know, granted, $25 an hour would be beneficial, but I mean, the $25 an hour is probably about the same as what the 15 an hour does here at the same time. You know, I don't know. The weed might be cheaper because it's Colorado. I could get an ounce for like $10. You know what I mean? Depending on where I go and what quality I'm getting. You know what I mean? That'd be the good side of it. If I was only worried about feeding myself and smoking myself out, I'd have plenty of money for that, I bet. So I don't know, man. That's the thing, living off grid, either out in the middle of nowhere, or the ordinances you need to follow are just way too expensive. Yep. So I don't know. I might do the out in the middle of nowhere would be the better option, but I still need to get, you know, enough. I would have to get enough finances where I could even make that possible, because I might end up so far out in the middle of nowhere that I'll need a truck with a water tank on the back of it. You know what I mean? I'll have to drive into town and use someone's hose if I'm lucky enough, or pay a store to fill up the water tank on the back of my truck. And it, yeah, part of me, I could go out to Slab City even, man. But Slab City's rough. I don't think I could really be. You know, I'm not really the type of person that should be in Slab City. You know what I mean? But it'd be cool to check it out at least. They got like a whole internet cafe out there somehow. It's not, you know, it's not like an internet cafe. I bet they just have like Hostess snacks and some hot, you know, some coffee. But yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I took a nap, man. It was nice. Found a nice little shady spot. Took a nap from like 2 to 4 o'clock today. You know, it wasn't too bad, man. I had a headache for some reason, and I don't have any ibuprofen or nothing. I need to get a bottle of, you know, Tylenol or something. But yeah, I decided to take a nap. Hopefully that, you know, I was hoping that would get rid of the headache. Woke back up, didn't have one, so wasn't too bad. But yeah, I don't know, man. Pretty much, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I'm not gonna stop and spend. Like, I'm trying to get to retirement faster. I'm not gonna stop and spend $300,000 on a house on the way to retirement. You know what I mean? But they almost made it where it's like it's illegal to sleep in public. So that's the reason everybody's got to buy a house, because they, you know, they want to constantly, if you're homeless, they want to constantly be chasing you around everywhere, constantly on the fucking run. Like I've seen some people, they like post up in the woods, you know, and they end up having that spot in the woods for years, you know, or at least 6 months time. You know what I mean? I don't know how they do it. They'll have some spot they've been for fucking 6 or 7 months before the cops finally chase them off. Build up all kinds of shit in that time. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not too hard to stay away from the drugs and shit like that, at least. Like, I don't know, I'm smoking marijuana as I say that, but I don't know. I ain't got no interest to want to be like smoking crack or nothing, you know what I mean? Already given enough of my life away. But yeah, that's the idea, man. If I could find somebody that's here in Florida somewhere, you know, they see a cool dude that's trying and doing something, you know what I mean? And then they're like, yeah, man, you can hang out on my porch for 400 a month, you know. And to me, that'd be feasible. 100 a week, I can easily cover that, you know. I could Uber drive one day a week and make sure I bust at least 100 to pay for my housing situation, you know what I mean? And then drive a second day a week to cover my food situation, you know what I mean? But yeah, like 500 a week or more, that's just fucking, that's insane, man. And I'm having a problem. I can't like just find a better job because like there's jobs out there, but you know it's like arguably is it really a better job? You know, for me to leave the car parts store where I'm chilling, you know, granted there's not a lot of hours, but you know what I mean. But for me to leave that and then go to fucking Dunkin' Donuts, or go to a fucking grocery store, or go to Walmart, or go to a McDonald's, or fucking Wendy's, or you know what I mean, somewhere where I could get in very easily, quickly, you know what I mean. Or the other side of it is the jobs that I'm seeing, they're so glued onto that 40-hour week bullshit, you know. And I'm like, I'm not signing up for anything for 40 hours a week, bro. It's not me. I can't do it. It's just like, because I have sleeping problems as it is. That's like, I have insomnia, and I can't accurately sleep to where I can be productive for a fucking 40-hour week anywhere. I can't report that much. You know what I mean? Or I might if I could get them to, you know, give me the hours that I would want, you know. I could maybe do a bunch of 2 to 10s and do a 40-hour week, you know. But it's, you know, it's the needle in the haystack trying to find, you know, the you know what I mean. And then at the same time, I've already got a job, you know what I mean. Plus I do the Uber driving, and I don't really have any expenses pretty much for the most part, especially if I can talk to the ex about her just covering her own internet bill, because it's been a while I've been doing that. Like, I don't know, I like doing it. I'm trying to help her out with it, you know what I mean? Because I know, like, she threw me out. Like, it was her own choice to throw me out. You know, she had wanted, you know, her main thing was she wanted to stand by her decision of throwing me out. She didn't want to go back on her, you know, she made the decision and she's doing that. So I you know, just out of the kindness of, because I talked her into buying that place, you know. So now she's kind of stuck there. So I wanted to at least help her out. You know, I'm paying for our phones and I'm paying for the internet to be on, which, you know, I'd have to pay for a phone either way. You know what I mean? And, you know, but it's I don't know. It's one more thing that I'm on the hook for. That it's like, it's kind of like feeding a dead horse. You know, I don't know. It's just it's only $200 a month, but still, it's $200 a month I could be putting towards anything else. You know, especially in my current situation, I could be just eating better. Like, number one, I could be eating better for having, you know, just to have another $200 a month. You know, not that I'm really having a problem with eating. It's just the stuff that I am eating, I'm trying to eat for as cheap as possible. You know, like, I got no way to cook anything, so I pretty much got to cook. You know, I got to eat on the run. But I found places where I can eat for less than $10 a day, fill myself up. Not eating the best shit, but you know what I mean. It's just life. But yeah, I don't know if I could talk to her and you know, like, hey, I'm done paying that now. You know, it's not, like I said, it's not doing anything for me to be paying for your internet to be on. You know, I can help you out with the phone bill still, but you're on your own for the internet. Just even that would save me $125 a month that I could put towards whatever else, put into my own savings, put towards the land that I want to buy. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, like $125 is not that much, but after 10 months, that's a pretty big chunk of change. You know? But yeah. No, yeah, I know I don't have to get her permission. It's just it's the love thing, man. It's like I'm still in love with her. I'm trying to save what I can of the relationship. I want her to know that I still care. Like even though I'm out here on the street fighting wind and rain, you know, and fucking other homeless people trying to ask me for money, you know what I mean? And you know, I'm out here dealing with all this shit. Still, you know, then the job wants to just fucking use me to put me on the schedule fucking 6 days a week because the guy forgets that I'm coming. I'm showing up from living in a car. Like you know what I mean? Like he doesn't understand like how much it takes to do that and keep resetting and keep re-showing up the next day. You know, and then they're not even making any time to do that. You know, like you know, it's just like I said, it was just usury. You know, and like I said, the guy didn't quite even understand that. Like, dude, I'm coming here from, I'm getting up out of my car and then somehow keeping my clothes clean enough where I can keep putting on the same shirt to keep coming into work, and then you want to schedule me 6 days in 1 week, and then I can't do, you know, I literally can't do anything else other than keep resetting to come here, and then me coming here, I'm not even fucking really like I'm not making any money to do that, you know, like I'm doing it because I know it's the stability, it's the only stability I have right now is that job, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to hold on to that. You know what I mean? Because the Uber, you know, the car could fuck up on me tomorrow, but I could at least walk and be close enough to my work. You know what I mean? Before I have to clock in. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a really complicated situation. I'm just trying to save what I can of the relationship because she threw me out. It doesn't necessarily mean that her bills go down. You know what I mean? That's the other part of it. She just I don't know. It just seems so stupid to me. Like, wouldn't you rather have somebody that's willing to help you, and you know, like somebody that's going to pay, you know, like I don't know, versus trying to do it all on your own. It just makes no fucking sense to me. Like I get you want to be strong, you want to be independent, this, that, the other, but nobody's gonna think any less of you for having a second income in your household like everybody else has. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm trying to help her until the point where she just either tells me like, okay, I don't need that anymore. It's you know, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? I don't know whatever this, that, the other. I don't want to hear that either. And I know, you know, she doesn't want to. She more or less just tells me what she thinks I want to hear. You know what I mean? But even to get that out of her, it's you know what I mean. I got to use a crowbar to be able to do that. And it's just to me, it's kind of fucked up. You know, like Fred, honestly, you talk to me more than she does. And she claims that she still loves me and I'm paying some of her bills. Or at least one of her bills while I don't even live there. You know what I mean? Why? Because I'm in love. You know what I mean? But it is kind of fucked up that she's giving me that little attention that you know what I mean? Like honestly, Fred, you talk to me more than she does. Even, you know, even you probably talk to me more than she does. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. She's real big into that, you know, that female empowerment movement that's going on right now and shit too. So I don't know. She's trying to do it, I guess, to prove a point to herself, even. You know what I mean? But the whole thing, it's just kind of fucking stupid. I don't know. But you know what I mean. This the way that they built the economy, like you need two working adults to afford a household. You know what I mean? You can do it by yourself, but you got to be willing to work a 70 or an 80-hour week. So you might as well just have two adults that are working in one household. You know what I mean? You both just work a 30-hour week. You know what I mean? Rather than one person trying to fucking cover everything and wanting to blow their fucking head apart. You know. I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like at the same time, for the 200 a month, and if it ultimately does save the relationship, I keep a partner in this game, in this race that we're all stuck in. I keep a partner for the 200 a month that I'm paying in the meantime. That would be cool. It'd all be worth it if that's in if that ends up what being the case is. So like I don't know, because like I said, she wants to leave Ohio and come back to Florida too. So like really kind of her best option at this point would be to kind of continue to build with me. You know what I mean? Granted, she might not be thinking that way. Granted, it's more or less my best option than her best option. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's just me that you take the path of least resistance. You know what I mean? If you're facing a lot of resistance one direction, then obviously you're probably going the wrong direction. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a late night talk, man. I don't know. Been a pretty good Easter. Like I said, I went out. I made like $15 for the day. I should have, probably made more, about 40 or 50. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I've just been trying to take it easy on the car, and I've been kind of like running low on energy and shit myself. And pretty much on Saturday, I worked all 3 jobs. You know what I mean? Because I went, did Uber, went to my actual job, and then I got online and did like a live stream for like 3 or 4 hours too. You know what I mean? Granted, this isn't like a job, but I hope I can make some kind of income out of it. So I mean, like, I'm putting a lot of work into it for now and not making any income. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But it does look like there's promise. You know what I mean? It does look like y'all are rooting me on. At least I'm building at least a small fan base, a small army of people that want to see me do more the next day. You know what I mean? And I still got plans. I mean, whether I don't know whether I end up with the land, or whether I end up jumping ship sooner, or whether I end up in a different state, or you know what I mean, whether I end up back with this girl, whether I end up finding another girl, you know what I mean. Like some hippie chick that's just happy to lay in a hammock with me. You know what I mean? We've got plenty of weed. We're just fucking laying in a hammock. Yeah, I don't know, man. But I do feel like there's a certain amount of pressure that's off me now because I have X amount of, like X amount of my Bitcoin stack is stacked up and just sitting there. You know what I mean? I'm secure as long as I don't divvy into it. As long as I continue to make more money, that I make enough where I don't have to touch that stack, I'm fine. You know what I mean? And I know it's all just a possibility. You know what I mean? But even if it doesn't work out, I'm in the same spot I'm already in, you know? I don't believe it. But yeah, this gym looks way better than my gym. They've got TVs, they've got TVs that are on actual channels and shit. Like, I don't know, my gym, they got TVs, but they're like displaying advertisements for like some roofing company or some insurance salesman or some bullshit. There's all these TVs that are displaying advertisements at my gym. But this gym, man, this gym's like twice the size. They got like I said, there's TVs hanging in front of it. So if you're on one of the cardio pieces of equipment, you could be running cardio right now, watching. Looks like you're watching Spider-Man: Homecoming or something on that one TV. And I think this place is cheaper somehow too. Look at this dude. You see? Oh no, you can't. This guy, he's on one of them powered unicycles. He's cruising. He was going like 30 miles an hour. But yeah, I don't know. Trying to help her at least with what I can, man. I'm hoping that she'll see that I'm, a strong person, for doing that. Like still sticking by and standing true and helping her through it. While I'm in the situation that I'm in, I'm still worrying about her bills. You know, I'm hoping she'll see that side of things, and I can't believe that she's not already. You know what I mean? Oh man, the phone probably just disconnected or something. It went I had like 4 viewers and it went all the way down to 1, and then it went to 0. The relight doesn't really do anything. Put on the big head mode again. People like the big head mode. But of course, the big head mode's not going to work. But no, big head mode's not working. I'll turn it off then at least. I don't know. I appreciate you hanging out, man. I had like four or five viewers for a good steady moment there. I get it, you know what I mean? I'm not the most interesting man in the world. I don't know.